World of Warcraft remembers you. And it's not in the ways that you think. Being in its 20th anniversary, World of Warcraft enjoys a unique spot in gaming. Very few titles can claim such relative success over such a prolonged period of time. This makes World of Warcraft not unique in just a gaming context, but a cultural one as well. We're pioneers on a trip with no destination, an exploration of what happens when a digital world just keeps going. Who here is that one random hunter alt sitting on a den realm you never leveled 10 years ago? Maybe even a level 1 human on Moonguard, when you and your friends decide to check out Goldshire at 3 a.m. on a school night. Warcraft's memories go beyond just these examples, which amounts to the same nostalgic hit you get looking at an old Minecraft world or revisiting your first Skyrim playthrough. Because World of Warcraft isn't just a scrapbook of your best hits, it's a living, breathing world with its own special way of remembering its players. Let's explore all the weird nooks and crannies that a long-lived game like World of Warcraft creates. While there's a lot more curious ways that World of Warcraft recalls things, this video would feel incomplete if I did bring up the most apparent, when the game itself recognizes you. Be it a cocky Firelord taunting the player if they played back in Legion, a faithful dog following you from Pandaria to Khazalgar, or recognizing how much free time you had during the original On Garage event. Because your character's journey has been one continuous experience over the years, it's not too hard for the devs to check a checklist and see what you did 20 years ago. But other games also have save importing. It doesn't exactly make World of Warcraft unique. To find the good stuff, we're gonna need to dig through the bones. World of Warcraft hasn't stayed static over its 20-year history. It's evolved and changed with the times. This means we have an endless series of new additions to the game. Bright, hopefully evergreen systems to give us a breath of fresh air. But it also means that there's an ever-stacking heap of dead ends piling up at our feet. That's right, I'm talking about the gameplay graveyard, system scrap heap, computational compost. Whatever you want to call it, from class trainers, artifact weapons, or conduits, the vestiges of systems from ages past have proven quite tenacious. Rather than being outright removed, World of Warcraft has an interesting track record of leaving these remains behind for players to take a peek at once more. An example of this that sits close to home for myself is artifact weapons, the shining star of Legion. These weapons grant to players a variety of gameplay-changing effects as their wielders pump them chock full of artifact power. While Blizzard eventually took our fun toys away, those talent trees are still easily viewable on the items. I still find myself reminiscing about how much I loved my artifact every time I happen to open this talent tree up once again. Digging through each node, remembering how awesome that Mauve Souls run felt after I got the latest capstone, or the arduous grind to level up my Legion Fall buff. While it's just a series of inactive talents, seeing the ghost of the system serves as a constant reminder of all the adventures we had while we were carrying it around. Speaking of artifacts, I still have mine. It sits comfortably in my bank, where I put it for safekeeping. Before I realized it's actually impossible to delete your artifact. Alongside my artifact, I've got all sorts of knickknacks. This brings me to another way that World of Warcraft remembers us. The things we hold on to. Oh, let's see here. Here's a letter I got after my Moonguard video. It was the first time I ever got any sort of fan mail. They even include a bunch of gold. Oh, yeah, there's also 80 bottles of troll sweat. The other time I got mail from a viewer. If you want to send me stuff, be it troll sweat or gold, go for it. I cherish each and every one completely equally. Outside of that, because of its continuous existence, there's an extensive litany of items that players accrue over the years. From letters to mounts, the players of WoW have proven to be quite the hoarders. While they are ultimately just pixels in a database somewhere, there's a tangibility to these items that grant them a special connection to their owners. There's plenty of bottles of troll sweat out there, but these are my bottles of troll sweat. Everything players get sentimental over lives inside of our inventories. As the former half of the name of the game suggests, there's a whole world out there. While every game has its collections of locales and vistas, World of Warcraft is special in that its world is persistent. There's an infinite amount of Hyrules, but there's only one Stormwind, one Orgrimmar. On any character, be it a freshly made tune or a seasoned main, I always find myself getting nostalgic revisiting old stomping grounds. These locations aren't just duplicates of our old hangouts, but the still kickin' real deal. While we may be off drifting in Undermine, the Grizzly Hills are still hosting all sorts of adventures on their leveling journey. Like our items sitting in our bags, because World of Warcraft is a persistent online world, these places we've grown so fond of feel just a little bit more real. Personally, the location that evokes the most memory is the Timeless Isle. Miss is when I started the game. I know you know. Being 12 at the time, I barely understood how to play, but what I did know, if I sit right here, wait about an hour or so, a cool dragon appears. This dragon also had a small chance to drop a sick mount, which would instantly make me the coolest middle schooler. At least that's what I told myself. However, for some reason, I proved to be comically unlucky, and despite a triple-digit amount of kills, I never got the mount. Thank you, Mop Remix, my inner child is healed. Regardless, anytime I come to the Timeless Isle, I'm instantly transported back to my childhood room, sitting in a borrowed office chair, hovering over an overheating Alienware laptop. It's truly a timeless isle. Sorry, that too. But World of Warcraft's history extends far past when I started the game. And that's where I'm going to explore a truly unique aspect of World of Warcraft. Liminal spaces. All the rage in the horror sphere these days. Abandoned places that feel eerie, unnerving, and generally discomforting. Think of that odd sensation as you walk through an office after hours, a school in the middle of summer. A key aspect of liminal spaces is the disconnect between the lack of people and accommodations for the masses. World of Warcraft has its own liminal spaces. Abandoned places, places once brimming with buffed up raiders and tired raid leads. But the game marches on. While Icecrown Citadel was added well before I started the game, as any World of Warcraft player would do, I've taken a crack at Invincible or specific Transmog. But when I walk those halls, I can't help but notice little details here and there, and the looming specter of history. Look around. The repair vendors eagerly await to help wiping guilds. The quests wholeheartedly offer to lead you on your way to a legendary. The omnipresent buff that once helped struggling teams, now reduced to making your one-shot just a little harder. Similar to how liminal spaces unsettle you by inferring the absence of people from where they should be, Icecrown Citadel does the same. It is etched into the very bones of the raid that is intended for 10 to 25 raiders from 2009. As you make your way through the raid, the bosses play along. Between good news and bone storms, the raid bosses play the same decade-old script, fully unaware that you're the lone adventurer here. In a world designed solely for the people, the NPCs are reduced to the digital equivalent of a rundown amusement park. Though sometimes those NPCs and places can be more human than we give them credit for. And the ultimate expression of how the game remembers its players, some lucky, notable few have been permanently etched into the world. Typically reserved for players that have passed away, it is on rare occasion that Blizzard will add a persistent reminder of their impact on the game itself. These places and characters become hallowed ground, a reminder of something we all share. These reminders don't just serve as digital epitaphs, but testaments of how important World of Warcraft, the silly MMO from 2002, really is to all of us. Logging in every day, sitting in voice chat with your raid team, waving to a new player. Through legacy and persistence, we've created our own world, with its own history, with its own meaning. Back in 2012, for the 10th anniversary of the game, Blizzard sold retired server blades to the fans. The very machines that hosted our adventures. The physical representation of everything we've done. While nothing is printed or visibly apparent on the server blades, the aura that these relics of history emanate is irreplaceable. We all understand, on some level, that these silicon playgrounds are where characters lived at some point, that atomically scarred into their circuits are the actions we took online. It also makes it perhaps the coolest WoW collectible of all time, and I desperately hope Blizzard sells some more someday. But looking back at these retired server blades may have sparked a thought. Is World of Warcraft really immortal? If the very hardware the game runs on has been replaced, is it really the persistent, ever-present online world we've come to value? Is Azeroth just a convoluted digital ship of Theseus? While this has been a lovely jaunt through World of Warcraft's recollections, I feel the need to bring up how persistence of Warcraft is potentially a product of its time. World of Warcraft and any other game have mostly existed within a world of technological revolutions, with fancy new startups hitting the ground every day, infinite Gmail accounts right at our fingertips, or the ability to upload video essays on an old computer game freely to the internet for everyone to watch. It can become easy to think that's just what technology is. Free, open, forever. but the tides are changing. Beginning in 2023, Google has begun deleting inactive accounts. The behemoth of data storage, the provider of countless free online services, has started to think about when some data isn't worth holding on to. In 2024, the online game The Crew was taken offline. Published by Ubisoft, this 2014 release required constant internet connection to play. With its sequels following it and an ever-dwindling player count, Ubisoft deemed the game no longer worth hosting. It was actively removed from players' digital libraries and became impossible to play. Hard drives only last for 5 years. Solid-state drives give out at 7. While we store more and more data than ever, it is also worryingly fragile. We believe everything is recorded in perpetuity because we simply have such an excess of storage to make it an afterthought. But we're still just at the start of a moment. That's right, this video is really about video game preservation. While this topic has been belabored by other, much better video essayists, I think World of Warcraft has flown under the radar. It's easy to conceptualize the storage of a discrete video game release. Ocarina of Time, Excitebike, Mad 08, all sitting comfortably on countless hard drives ready to be emulated on a moment's notice. But World of Warcraft? How do you preserve the world? How could you possibly preserve this collective history? In 2023, we got a peek into what that might look like. Due to a licensing dispute with their distribution partner, Blizzard shut down World of Warcraft in China. And at the time, it was possible that it may be permanent. As a consolation, Blizzard provided the ability for Chinese players to download their save data. Every achievement, mount, keybind, all of it, into a single file. While it didn't allow them to play the game, it allowed them to hold on to hope that no matter how long it may be before the game returns, that if it ever did, they'd get to pretend like nothing ever happened. These players sat with their save data, nestled away on their PC, and between private servers and playing through fireballs, found their WoW fix where they could. But at this critical moment, where the game was suddenly presented with his impending death, I can't stop thinking that all it could produce was a save file. It's in this moment, where things are looking great and we're celebrating 30 awesome years of Warcraft, that I want us to take a moment and think where this whole thing may end up. While I hope that World of Warcraft lives forever, and I genuinely believe it can, hope isn't where I want to trust my digital footprint. Our digital footprint. I hope this video can spark a discussion. Where does your sentimental value lie? What sits in your banks holding on to memories of yesterday? And what do you hope to see to protect that? World of Warcraft is an ever-evolving game, with expansions every 2 years and its own set of greater eras. We've all come to grapple with that. Thanks to classic and private servers, the actual game is preserved. But what of this story? This world? Thanks for joining me today, though keep an eye out for the next video. That one's going to get a little different. But of course, before I go, I've got to thank all the lovely people who make these videos possible. And if you want to help out, make sure to check out the join button below the video. Anyways, thank you to Dustin, finding innovative solutions to our shared Morgan-Tarn helmet problem. And of course, all the lovely people who've stayed with us so far. Thank you guys.